So, welcome back. Hopefully you now have that cup of tea to hand and we can get back underway into match week 7 with our second day, well, our second match of today, if I can say it right. And I'm still joined by this lovely man. And obviously the next game up will be Evil Panda Squad up against Kazna Crew. 2 veterans to this whole league, really. A couple of changes here and there, let's be serious. You know, Elian joining Kazna, a couple of others added into the Evil Panda Squad, but still the core lineup really that we've been seeing for quite some time. So certainly 2 teams to be watching here, very close within the rankings, but obviously Kazna Crew edging ahead. Your thoughts briefly towards this one?
I think Evil Panda Squad are a little bit of a disadvantage compared to Kazna Crew.
Yep.
Second best in the rankings, and in my opinion, the second best team overall, just behind Virtus Pro.
Yeah, certainly a team who've turned some heads. And Melly, you've known these guys for some time now. You know, you've been around watching these games from the previous season, even prior to that. You know, tell me your thoughts towards the kind of new Kazna Crew. Are you impressed with how they've changed so far?
Well, I know both teams, as you said, from previous events, and those are by far the most fun gamers I've met yet. And from a personal kind of view, it's really hard for me to decide. But the evolution, let's call it that way, of Kazna Crew is impressive.
Yeah, it's hard to deny that one. Now sitting second in the league, it's a brilliant change. They're always the team that, will they get into that top 6 or will they qualify? Now it's like, well, will they drop a match? They've had a hiccup on their road so far. Otherwise, they would have been pretty much on par with Virtus Pro, and that's quite impressive. But then that one small slip, I can't seem to get it out of the back of my mind. They had that one mistake up against Wusa. They kind of pulled a TCM by not being able to close out the game properly, and I think that's going to be the new phrase for this whole season, by the way, pulling a TCM there. But still, you know, Kazna Crew, very impressive side, and you know, going forward, is it just to get better now, or do you think they've had a little bit of a brilliant start, but it could fade away?
They're not up to Virtus Pro level yet, but they are going to get better. They keep on getting better. They have a lot of work to do, and I think they have a lot of training against the top teams to do. But they will get there eventually, and I think it's fast forward a couple of months' time when we're at the finals for the season. I think we'll be seeing Kazna Crew and Virtus Pro in the finals.
I have a funny feeling of that as well, you know. It's been a curious ride for them so far, and it's more, when will the kind of train stop for these guys? They're looking so much stronger on every single element, and especially some of the elements being the players within the team, especially the man that I can't stop highlighting, Elian, a superstar previously for Lemming Train, Mouse Sports, whatever you know them as. Now within this lineup, we doubted it at the start. He wanted a team he could work with, you know, really train, really practiced in, and he went for Kazna. That made us go, is that the right option? But I think we're seeing, with the teammates around him, I think it was a good choice. He's
been absolutely a rock for Kazna Crew so far. Seems to have gone well into the team, seems to have merged into the team pretty okay. Yep. I can see there's still some changes they need to make and a lot of practice to do, but all in all, I think they're doing pretty well with him. Evil Panda Squad, new multi show is obviously the guy you need to be looking out for. Polsved, McIntosh, also pretty damn good player. But we are pretty much ready to get into this first battle in just a second. It's going to be our first one. It's going to be mines. That's going to be 3 AMX 3090, 2 T32s, 2 Tier 1s. So pretty standard from Evil Panda Squad. We've seen those double T32 lineups more and more, especially from the south, which is, I believe, where the EPS team, the Polish team, will be starting. And Evil Panda Squad's one of those teams sitting up in the middle of the table from 5 to 7. So they need to actually win this one, because
you need to confirm that place within that lineup.
Precisely. You know? If you're, for instance, Virtus Pro, Kazna Crew, TCM, School Bus, you're sitting 1 to 4. You're okay. I think you could afford to lose a couple of battles, but if you're sitting right in the middle, you can't afford to lose anything. You have to win or draw everything. But the lineup for Kazna Crew is going to be double single AMX 3090, T32, double AMX 3090, sorry. Pershing T69, T32, double tier 1. So more of an even lineup for Kazna Crew. A little less towards one speciality, which is obviously for Evil Panda Squad armor, but a bit more sustained firepower, and I like it overall a little bit better.
Yeah, and I want to point out there's a player that I'm definitely keeping my eyes on, though, for Evil Panda Squad, and it'll be Yankees. He's one of the standout players to me so far, hitting very much near to what Elian's been doing damage-wise and kill-wise for Evil Panda Squad, obviously, retrospectively, to Kazna Crew. So, highly impressive player. Looking to see what he can do today. You know, so far the players I've highlighted have exceeded their average damage to this point. You know, obviously Applewell hitting well above that in all 3 maps that they've picked up. Hopefully we'll be seeing the same here, but there's a bit of a large number to get above. Elian hitting the average of 1.6k throughout every single one of his battles. 5 battles so far within the playdays, obviously. Absolutely phenomenal 2 players there. So keep your eyes on those, because guys, we're ready now to go into the map of Mines. Welcome into the first map here in game number 2. It'll be Kazna Crew taking on Evil Panda Squad. 2 classic teams to our eyes that we've become very synonymous with. But in the north in red, it's going to be Kazna Crew facing off against, well, let's see what they can bring Evil Panda Squad. A lot to overcome, because let's be serious here, Kazna are looking astonishing this season. But what are they beginning with?
So the 2 T-32s doing what I'd expect them to do, sitting back in towards their base, the cap zone, ready to snipe on the hill. Polsved doing also what I expect him to do, getting the 50-meter proxy spot onto whatever's pushing on the hill. Nerds Cosme, New Martish, I would only expect one of them to go over there, but that's also pretty normal. Lucas Yisti, the only guy a little bit out of position. And for Kazna, well, they're all pushing up the hill, so from the north, that's what we'd expect as well. All in all, a pretty normal start. I think Kazna, with so many resources, will maybe struggle against the T-32s of Evil Panda Squad up that hill towards the cap. And honestly, I can't see how either of these 2 teams can push right now. You've got German Break there in the right, in the T-32, brilliant T-32 player, and he's going to be able to ward off anything for Evil Panda Squad heading up the hill. A lot of tanks on the hill for them as well in general. So either one of these have to do an amount of damage so you actually get the advantage, or maybe even just go in for just a full-on like rush, or one of those kind of situations.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of blind fire coming through, not too much. Only Numocho really being spotted out, as we saw German Break took a little bit of a pot shot over there, but none have actually connected so far. It's been pretty quiet, at least on the damage front, and as you said, that's pretty much to be expected at present, due to the fact that, well, no one's really in a position to make much happen. But Hyber, however, fancies his chances over towards the east side of the map here, heading towards that tiny village behind him. But we see a couple of teams now considering every now and then maybe more to hedge his bet, to make sure no counter players coming through this way, as we've seen a couple of pushes along this side. But that's pretty much it so far. Only Numocho once again being spotted, and Hyber continuing his journey forward. And to me, the highlight between these 2 is watching if Yankees can do a little better than Elian in this one, both in pretty much the same tank. So going to be a display of real skill here. 7 minutes and 46 seconds left. And there's the man I've been talking about, New Multishow. He's been the one appearing occasionally on the horizon for the opposition, but not received a flick of damage yet. Quite impressive stuff to be able to avoid all of that. Yeah,
he's been a good player, and for overall for the team, just needs to make sure that he's in the thick of the things when it comes down to the firefight, because he's often been described as someone who runs away and just likes to live. Very good one-on-one player. In fact, he was rated as ESL's best one-on-one player for a very, very long time, and so many gold awards for him. Shows in his game style, definitely. A little bit more lone wolf than most people, but it does help them a lot, as he's just trying to get some good spots up behind this bush. As German Rake, Vecco, Alien all start to pile in the shots towards him. He said nothing connected so far. Kazna Crew maybe actually not happy so far to push across. You can see German Break heading up his gun towards the side, towards the new multi-show, getting the shots off. He doesn't know they're actually there, but he can get the shots nonetheless. And as long as he's hitting them, Lucas Yisti does get 1.836 left on him. He'll slowly but surely be getting the advantage for Kazna Crew.
Yeah, indeed. And as you could see there, the shells not quite landing, even though German Bray was trying it out with all of his might. It just not really going through there. But German Bray, happy to wait this one out. A man who we had a good discussion with actually about the varying teams within Wild Tanks, a different mentality towards it as well. A player who's outgoing as hell, let's be serious here, but can play such a patient role, especially within game. But we are seeing a little bit of movement, not too much. Mostly Raging Potato there and Yankees. Just letting a couple of spots off, trying to make sure they keep on top of things. We've seen this play a couple of times, not only from Evil Panda Squad, but a couple of others playing this more passive role, playing a little smarter towards it. waiting for a counter push. We've seen the counter push occasionally coming in, not from the middle here that we see the normal exchange going down on, or the village. Surprisingly, it's always from this lighthouse island is where the counterplay seems to begin. And would you think that's an option for Kazna crew here? Would they be able to kind of get themselves to a position they may be able to start a push on that platform, or is that not what they want? We've seen School Bus doing it before. We've seen a couple of teams floundering trying to deal with it. Would that be a possibility?
They don't have a 50-100, so they don't have that burst potential, which you actually need to take down German Bright in that position. You'll be able to engage him, basically, and do, let's say, 50% damage in one barrage, but you would need a 50-100 to actually do the killing blow, excuse me. But without that option, it's very hard. You do see Veko and Hyber starting to maybe look, Hyber even, just starting to look for a way in, and Kazna crew do had Cobra own up first to make sure that, well, we don't want to send an AMX 3090 in first, because if it goes down, it would be a significant blow for that team. 4 minutes and 45 seconds left. You know, it does beg the question, with Evo Panda Squad's double T32 lineup, how do you actually push that? It's very hard. So much HP, so much firepower in such a good position. You can see where they are right now, looking up towards the right side, making sure that the cap doesn't get underway, and wow, they are literally aiming up here, which is, you know, from the south we've seen the MX 3090 make its way around, and that's what these T32s are doing. They're all looking up, waiting for the pop from that. I have no idea how they know that an MX 3090 might come from that place, but I guess they're just pre-aiming just in case.
Yeah, just keeping things in mind. Veko is getting a little, maybe not lack of discipline there. He certainly wanted to go roaming though, looking for a way through. Ilian joining him. But with 3 minutes and 58 seconds left, with such, you know, heavy tanks in the hands, you know, Raging Potato and Yankees with those massive T-32s there, I just don't see really much of an option of a push between these guys. I just don't see it really happening. And even the Pershing in the hands of Ilian, not really welcoming of a push. It's more like this kind of slightly more passive play, slightly more careful play. German Brait doing pretty much the same thing in his T-32. It's not exactly the fast action lineup. And is this the change we might be seeing on Mines now? Is that unpredictability trying to be written out of this map almost?
Perhaps. It could be another meta change. As I said before, you know, how do you just... The question for Kazna crew is, how do you deal with Yankees and Raging Potato? T-32 ×2 behind good cover, hull down. It's a lot of HP, 3,100 between them. And then you have to deal with Noscosmi and new multi-show. So the only real play path Kazna crew has right now is to go into Kazna crew Noscosmi, and then come around onto Lucas Yisti and then deal with Raging Potato and Yankees next. But it would be very, very hard because, well, you have to cross this whole open section, and new multi-show would spot you out. We've seen how badly that push across the Lighthouse Island has worked before. It hasn't worked at all, so it wouldn't be an option for this Kazna crew. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Veko starts to make his way up there, and really is starting to head towards garbage time. Veko does take the first frag though, and as goes down, and so will Polsved if he manages to hit it.
Second bite of the cherry there, Veko will take him down, but as I said, this is the kind of little bit of a garbage time push. They know that nothing can really happen within this point, and even if Veko does go down, he does have the backup, as you can see, in the hill of Ilian and Crux, so nothing too much to be worried about there. They just need to be a little cautious towards this and make sure everything works out perfectly. Even in this garbage time push, you still don't want to risk it, even at this point, really, do you?
Well, no, not really. It's a small map, 600 meters, so it would be hard. Wouldn't be hard for the other team to get to the other side of the map and actually just kill your tier 1. But yeah, we're getting to the point where you can actually push without any kind of bad effect on them. So 1 minute and 35. Veko peeks up again. Raging Potato gets spotted, and maybe he's gonna just try and go onto Raging Potato a little bit if he can. But 1 minute and 25. I don't think much is going to happen. Yeah.
Do apologise for that. The PC just having a little bit of a moment. We will be jumping back into game in just a second. My PC's not wanting to actually open tanks right now, so you can just stick onto your screen for a couple of seconds, as is the garbage time push. We weren't joking about this. It is just them making their way forward. Yankees and Raging Potato there. As you said, a lot of damage. They're not going to really take too much themselves. And there we go. Garbage time push begins. 55 seconds left. Not much going to happen.
See, look, these two T-32s, they're not taking any damage. Those 3 MX 3090s are there. trying to get the shots on, and they just can't find them. The Raging Potato and Yankees have both taken one. And the
just
DMX
look how
3090s,
much damage they can soak up.
They could just soak all the damage. They're in the perfect position here.
Yeah, and I think Vecco's realised that. He was the first one to make his way forward, and now he's like, well, sod this, guys. I'm just going to wait this one out. And I don't really blame him. These two tanks are absolutely beastly, and the T-32 certainly a little bit of a monster in this situation. And I feel it's almost a shame because mine was quite an action-packed map originally, and we did see a lot of those initial exchanges going very well. But these days, not quite the action-packed map we are used to. And no matter what they do at this point, there's a tier 1 still all the way back at the, obviously, Kazna's base, and there's no way they can take it down. Finally, we see one of the big boys falling there, but nothing too much done. Overall draw to end that one with. And is that what we can expect from Mines now? This doesn't seem as though it's a one-off. It seems that a lot of teams are now adapting this more passive playstyle.
Yeah, and it was Evil Panda squad really to instigate that. We saw at the beginning with the double T-32 lineup. Yep. With those TT-32s, it's very obvious of what you want to be doing with them. As you said, it's going to be more and more passive with that map because it's very unpredictable who can win it. It's very back and forth. There's no real one way you can play Mines, and that's what the teams don't like. Evil Panda squad clearly did want to go for the win that map. Kazna Crew could have actually won it if they pushed earlier. They actually came up with the advantage despite trying to deal with two T-32s and very unsuccessfully. But with a little bit more motivation going forward, a little bit more push, they might have been able to do it. But it's such a gamble for them. It relies on a lot of RNG. It wouldn't be really an option as a kind of a thinking man's team.
See, and I see it kind of being round up to the way that we saw Ruinberg previously played, guys. I'm sure you guys at home remember that it was, a map that we saw the push towards the crescent, moon kind of road there. They went to the middle and they had this big shootout. And it does come down to a little bit of RNG at times that you don't really want to risk yourself going in all in for. Let's say it's the first map or the last map to decide with. We've seen a lot of teams kind of shying away from that kind of straight up brawl, and they're going for more of the village play or the city play on Ruinberg, and it kind of makes more sense. And I feel mine's just kind of becoming a little like that, more tactical, a little smarter. And I start to think, is there a counter to this? You said it earlier, how do you get around that double T-32 just staring you down? Is there a way to do it when it's been played so passively? There
is a way. The same as on Ruinberg, where teams went away from the double AMX-13 or triple T-69 lineup more towards the IS-3s and 5100s. That's exactly what these teams need to be doing. If they see that the other team has picked two T-32s from the south, they go, okay, fine, we're going to take two 5100s, two IS-3s, one AMX-3090, and we're going to come rolling off that hill.
Yeah.
Your three AMX-3090s are not going to be able to deal with our big old tanks, and we're going to absolutely crush your T-32s hull down in a matter of seconds. That's what they need to be doing. But again, it's a very risky move because you're having to take tanks that are completely unsuitable for Mines in its general form, in its normal form.
That's quite a good point, actually. So we'll have to see if that comes into play there. In fact, we see any of those kind of options becoming to the forefront. And I think Cliff being our next map, we could see another passive one here if these two teams want to play it out like that. We've seen complete polar opposites almost on this map so far, whether it be the very aggressive teams who just go straight in, which can go very wrong, or the extreme of the very passive teams here. And I feel almost worried the fact that EPS have never been the aggressive side, even in the previous season. They've never been the go hell for leather kind of thing, or even the calculated aggression that Virtus.pro occasionally show. It's more of a let's just see if we can react to the team against us. I feel that's their kind of play here. But I look at Kazna, they have the option of going aggressive on occasion, and they don't seem to ever take it on this map. Is that maybe a lack of confidence in their play on it, or is it just the way they like to play this map out?
Maybe they're just not confident on it, I think. That's you hit it on the head in the first round. It's a hard map to play. So, as I said before, one the Europeans are not so used to. So they could struggle on it a little bit, and they might not be able to find their way into it once they have a good tactic. And we saw, for instance, TCM Gaming yesterday got caught out, or not yesterday, on Monday got caught out. Last play they got caught out very easily by Denial Gaming. It only takes a tactic like that to go on and win it. But I'm hoping Kazna have done a bit of training, as has Evil Panda squad, and we'll be able to see a very good matchup on our second map. Honestly, I think Kazna will be doing it because they've gone for the triple MX-3090 double T69 double tier 1, and Evil Panda's got it also matching them with a very quick lineup, triple MX-3090 double T69 double tier 1. So a mirror match, not something we see every day in season 4. Now we have the blind picks. We only really see it on Himmelsdorf, Ruhm, not so much Ruhm, but Himmelsdorf and Ensk is really the two I can think. Until someone brings a KV5 and ruins the party for all of us. But we have got a mirror match, so I'm expecting a little bit of a quick one.
I think it's going to be a passive game. I hope I don't jinx it by saying I think Kazna will play it out like we saw them before. I think they're going to go for the passive game here and play it for the later couple of maps. Because I was very curious seeing Mines first. It's normally the last one we see actually in play between teams quite often. So I was interested to see that first up. That may not be an indication of aggressive play. I think they're going to play it for the later ones to try and get a nice, easy victory. Maybe come down to 2 maps or just 1. So, as we said, Cliff being next. Do get your predictions through to us on Twitter. And we do love hearing from you guys. So I do believe the teams are ready. So let's get ourselves over to the second map. Cliff. Map number 2 is Cliff in the south. In blue, it's Evil Panda Squad, and in the north in red is Kazna Crew, both tied on 0-0 so far. First map being Mines was a draw. And Ollie, Laughter, expected this one to be a little bit of a quicker game. We're going to see a push, he says. Is that what it looks like so far?
Well, we got another 30 seconds till we find out, but so far, Evil Panda Squad are all heading up towards the lighthouse, as is Kazna Crew. Not sure exactly what that T69 will be doing. Doesn't look like Crocs will be going to the normal position in just that like defilade kind of indent area. German Break, Lucas Yisti spotting each other out at the beginning. Lucas Yisti hasn't been playing so well. He was, I believe, from GF Gaming beforehand, who was also in the Wargaming League Europe. Pretty good player all in all, but Evil Panda Squad going for that initial engagement around the corner as they do get the better positions at the start.
Yeah, Yankees there, my standout player who's been a little quiet so far. Looking to see him do something, but look at this. Suddenly, we see the push beginning. German Braid's in trouble. Lucas is moving in towards him, but Naskos and Raging Potato moving around the corner over that middle slight hill and actually not doing that much damage yet towards Hyper. They need to make these shots count. Naskos moving up. That T69 does have phenomenal burst damage between the two. And now Hyper dancing between it. Raging Potato does find German Braid, and now Hyper's in trouble. Look at this, 3v1. He might have taken down Naskosmi. Raging Potato playing the defense game, and it doesn't work. Elian takes him down. Perfect play, but can they keep this up? Can they deal with this? Finally, Kazna start to fall. Numocho getting into the action, taking down Hyper. The two classics within this game, but look at Numocho being caught in the heels. One more shell would have taken him out. He just about makes it to some form of cover, but that initial bit of aggression may have just left Raging Potato out to dry.
He's okay. He's got 1.1k HP to play around with. Even if he does die, it would mean Kazna Crew have to unload a lot of shells onto him. That's a lot of shells they won't have to deal with. Numocho, Yankees, Lucas Yisti, Polsved and Zagorzny when they do come off reload, which I imagine they are now. Raging Potato is probably going to fall here. I think that's 3 heat shells, so they have one more. That last one does miss. The Crux comes from the side as Veko does.
Yeah, Veko doing the job in that 1390. One more shell, but Veko backing away a little carefully there. Going to go back for more. He knows Raging Potato can find a reply, being cautious and a little careful with that HP left. You can see him toying with the idea of it, maybe expecting Crux to help him out, or Elian. So far, Raging Potato does stay alive. And there we have it. Still a little bit of a tentative engagement. You can see the damage now coming back through. We do believe to see Yankees moving forward finally into the action. Elian could be in trouble. He cannot focus on towards Raging Potato. Yankees finds the challenge from the side. Nice usage from the map. And look at this. Kazna being caught out. Elian has nowhere to run or hide. Yankees and Numocho now joining in. A tiny bit of cover might not do the job entirely as he is tracked and held in place. And one more shell will certainly take him down, but no one there quite yet to land the shot.
He's probably going to have to drop down out of that position. Yankees does find him. Brilliant shot by him.
Yeah, and they're the two players, the two standout players from this lineup so far. That little 1v1 has been won by Yankees. Certainly on the most HP left there, especially for EPS at 617. The remaining 4 players for Kazna need to play a smart game. 6 minutes against them. There's a lot of hunting time here for the opposition of Evil Panda Squad. Crux and Cobra Leone just being battle buddies, hunkering down. Veko who had already been spotted out by Raging Potato, so maybe not the safest of spots. This is worrying times, and Paluda out on his own in the Tier 1. Is there going to be a follow-up push coming out from Evil Panda Squad?
Yeah, they will do, but they want to put their T1s into play first. They've still got those resources to expend before they really have to commit any kind of real tanks towards the Kazna crew main force area. But this was almost a mirror game of yesterday with TCM. They will also took Denial Esports down to one shots. Lucas Isti, New Motor and Raging Potato on it, and Vecco's going to have a crack.
Yeah, Vecco trying to go in, does find Polswed, so should be able to take him down quite comfortably. Does so in that 1390. And now, 4 players left still for Kazna, and they're certainly not done yet. Vecco probably having the most viability to do anything here, but still. Crux does have a little bit of HP to work with, but now Numocho has found Paluda, which means that there are players behind Kazna crew. They're being roped into this now.
Well, as Numocho might get taken down, Pilauda first shot does miss. He might actually come in with Crux from behind. And can he hit that one? The second one misses as well. This is not Numocho at all.
No, has someone been taking his tank in his name? But there we go. Finally, the 4th shot, I believe, lands. Not what we expected to see, and now we see the cap beginning for Evil Panda Squad, putting a nice little Tier 1 of Zagoni in there. Now, maybe joined by New Multishow, and it's all down to Kazna crew to make the reply. Still, Raging Potato is in their way. Not going to be an easy man to walk over. Down to a one-shot pretty much, but still, those T-69s can do damage. Now, Vecco moving in to try and eliminate this threat. Does so. Vecco, 2 important kills so far. Can he turn it around, though? Now more fire. Yankees, star player, gets a second today, but can he make it 3? 20 seconds left on that cap. This is the man to be watching. We do have Cobra Leon trying to go back to stop that cap, but now Crux will be hunted down. New Multishow is in the cap circle, probably with Zagorni. Lucas yet to be kind of spotted out, but Crux knows what's up. Cobra Leon not able to make it back, I feel. I think this game is just about to... Oh, stunning little pixel shot there from Yankees, but this game has been won by the Evil Panda Squad. And Kazna crew looking a little bit shaky, I've got to say it there.
Yeah, but it also was down to that tactic for an Evil Panda Squad. I thought their execution was very poor. They made a lot of errors in judgment at the beginning, but it does beg the question, from the south, is that the tactic now? We saw Denial Esports do it successfully. Their execution was 10 times better than Evil Panda Squad's. Yep. But even with Evil Panda Squad playing so badly at the beginning, missing shells, not assigning targets correctly, they did half HP to one, half HP to another. Is that now a viable tactic? Because it certainly looked like it. Kazna crew, they didn't have the right positions to deal with them. I think the only option for Kazna crew would have been to go forwards all the way. We can kind of see, we can have a look back and see what went badly there for Kazna crew. The beginning, those 2 T-69s come off, and then New Multishow comes in. But you can see this. They go for Hyber first, he sneaks around. They go for Vecco first, and they go for Hyber. And then they switch back onto Hyber when New Multishow gets into the fight. That's the bad thing there. Look, New Multishow comes around, he makes one shell, and then he pushes onto Hyber because Raging Potato go forwards. That was the problem for them. The execution was bad, but they still won the fight overall.
But then looking at it this way, if EPS smooth that out, if they can work out the flaws in that, they're a team we've got to be worried about. If they're already taking down Kazna, who, I've got to say it, they've never impressed me on Cliff to this point. They've been either passive or not really on point here. Not been the team that they look like on other maps. And I can imagine they're near on kicking themselves for playing out Mine so passively as well. Not to the extent that EPS were, let's be serious. But they were still quite passive with that. This is when drawing maps out to play the next couple can become an issue. If you underestimate your opponents, you can get caught, and we saw it there. But still, so far my standout player of the incredible Yankees, 2k damage there, so hitting well above damage, and did the job towards Elian. Some really big individual players, but New Multishow had a very lacking performance there, I've got to say it. Didn't land the shots he needed. Not what we expect from New Multishow, especially in those 1390s. He's been a competent player there. Is this him just not quite finding his place today?
He made a couple of errors in judgment. First of all, he wasn't in there with the T-69s at the beginning. I think he should have done the push with them. And he's just playing on his own completely. Then the shots against the Tier 1, yes, they didn't make a big difference. They would have won the game anyway. But
still,
you still got to hit those shots. And for me, is this Evil Panda Squad drawing the first map out? Because they did. Kazna crew went forwards. They just couldn't win it. Just to play on Cliff, and what will they do now? They have one map in the bag, they have one game in the bag. Obviously, with our new rules, you only need to win one game to get the whole series, to get the 3 points.
True.
Will Evil Panda Squad be playing passively? do they have more tactics, or are they just a one-trick pony for Cliff?
See, now knowing the next map is going to be Ensk, this could be a threat. This is the one little hiccup still on that Kazna record. This was the map that caused them to draw out in the end, up against Wusa, who have had the most atrocious performance this season. So if there was a map I wanted to get a second win on against Kazna, it would be Ensk. I'd try and go for something here. Mistakes were made by Kazna crew once the pressure was applied, and they crumbled a little, and they made the worst calls in judgment. This could be that, a little bit of a repeat. Whether or not they've moved on from there, they've worked on the mistakes, which I'm sure they have, is yet to be known. But we're going to find out very shortly, because at the moment, as we mentioned, EPS leading with a map to the good. First map was drawn out. Second map, Cliff, they certainly had all the tanks in the right places and had the plans ready to go. Your thoughts before we get into this? Who's going to pick up Ensk?
Evil Panda Squad struggled against Virtus Pro, and I think they're going to struggle against Kazna as well on this map.
That's a good point. I'm hoping they have something up their sleeves here. I'm hoping they don't just depend on their individuals consistently. They certainly have that as a strong point towards them. But Numolde Show not looking like he's on point today, maybe a big factor. Hopefully he can kind of redeem himself in this one. Always a very big player, even if he's not in the big team fights, he kind of walks in later with a mop and cleans up. But I'm hoping we can see a little bit of a stronger play from him. Join that with Yankees, and we certainly have a challenge on our hands. They had a nice tactic previously, I believe. It was Yankees who was the one being a bit of an instrumental player. Let's see if it's going to happen again. Ensk is next. And welcome into that third battle. Currently sat with Evil Panda Squad leading one map to the good. Kazna crew yet to make a mark on that scoreboard. And speaking of Kazna crew, they will be in the south in red, and in the north in blue it will be EPS looking to maybe claim a second here. This is the map when I believe it was EPS starting in the south. They impressed me with this one. Challenging for a good long time up against Virtus Pro in match week 5. Whether or not they can reciprocate and replicate that today, we're yet to see. But still, what are we seeing from the very start here?
So, Evil Panda Squad heading up towards the green zone, not going for that city business like we've seen a lot of teams in the middle of the season do. Instead, going to go probably for the cross-off on the start along the railroads. So they try and make a couple of shots and then see what they can do from there. If they do catch Kazna crew out, I'll be very surprised, as Kazna is actually heading in the same positions and with maybe the same amount of tanks. Cobrion goes down, but good information for Kazna.
Yeah, nice work obviously from EPS to land it, but as you said, more information given over towards Kazna. Elian, Paluda, German Bray all heading their way forwards towards those rail lines. Oh, great shot. That does actually come through, and Crux did receive a little bit of damage himself as well, but which side is better to get towards that green zone? Or are we going to see Kazna more towards maybe the railroad lines?
Well, the nice thing about from the south on the green zone is that as soon as you cross it and you're over there, you've got a lot of cover. You've got the buildings to the right, which you can kind of dictate the state of play and where does this team go, where do we go, and you can react very quickly. Evil Panda Squad from the north, they struggle a little bit more. They have to kind of go forwards. They're the more attacking team. But Yankees and Rangers, they do draw between German Bray and Crux. Well, Crux has taken quite a big shell there, 300. German Bray does receive the second. That's from a 5100 of Lucas Diesti. So Evil Panda Squad looking pretty strong against them. But it has to be said, Kazna crew can just sit there. They can wait. But now they're at a disadvantage. They might actually struggle to do that. Tier 1 down, 2 tanks taking a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it's an impressive start. It's forced Veko to move up a little bit with Elian, it seems, and it looks like the counterplay is at least to try and take mid-control over this map, moving through the kind of industrial side of the green zone, a little further away from the railroad than the others. Elian did head over this way at the start, so maybe looking to find an angle towards those tanks that caused so much trouble towards German Break, Crux and Hyber early on. But Veko has found a little bit of trouble there actually already. We've got a bit of fire coming in and not too sure where from. Polsved does get in trouble with Paluda. There's that tier 1 battle raging on in the hills. And Paluda not going to be the one to take him down. It'll be Elian just providing a little bit of help there. And whose position do we prefer at the moment, really?
Probably Evil Panda Squad, because they have so much more HP. Well, like 500 more HP is not so much more. Might make a difference though in those tight firefights where one or two shells can dictate who wins and who loses, but Evil Panda Squad have to be careful because Kazna Crew are very good going forwards. Hyper does take a heap load of damage. He could be in trouble. Don't think you expect him to be caught out. Didn't expect those two IS-3s to be there.
Yeah, this is trouble. Hyper has to back the hell up and try and find a little bit of cover, leaving the rest of his side to start making them move forwards. Elian does find an angle, takes two. Yankees and Raging Potato sharing it out, and Numocho unable to provide the cover I can imagine he wanted with Lucas there. And we are seeing a bit of a brawl beginning, and look at the HP of Kazna. It's not looking good there. Veko needs to find a little bit of cover. He's way out in the open now. Elian firing in every single angle he can, but Veko is not in the advantage here. German break goes a little low. Hyper and Crux completely out of the fight, and these 5100s, they're not looking so pretty anymore.
They have to try and retreat because Numocho is in the game and he's found Elian.
Yeah, Numocho, not the player you want to be challenging you down. The best 1v1er for a long, long time. Elian will be taken out in the end by Nascosmi, and this means it is now go time for EPS, funneling themselves through. German Brait will be the first target once they break in, and Numocho claims that one for someone taking his earlier. Now Hyber next on the chopping board. He gets a big bit of damage, and look at the HP pool for Kazna right now. Crux is okay, but he's certainly not sitting perfect, and you say it time and time again, gun in the game, and right now Kazna don't have many.
Only have two left. Crux and Veko, what can they do? As Zagorny's in the cap already, and Yankees is trying to get himself out of there. I think Crux might be able to find him, and Cosme does manage to get tracked there, but Crux doesn't find a way onto Yankees, so he's going to have to try and come from another angle. But 1 minute and 2 seconds is how much time they have left. 423 damage, takes Numocho down to one shot as well. So two tanks for for Evil Panda Squad are now one shot. That's the Yankees, that's Numocho. Crux and Veko, Veko on a 2-shot, Crux on a 5-shot.
And look at this, Crux making his way around the backside, finally getting into the fight here. But he has been spotted out. You can see Yankees coming around, but Crux takes the kill. And now let's see if he can find any more. Numocho 1v1 between them. 5100 up against that IS-3. Crux finds the cover. Hyber is going low in the distance, and Nascosmi will take him down. This is looking good for EP. Can they really finish the deal? The cap does get stopped. It gets halted in its tracks. Crux unable to break through. Numocho buying time. And this is a lovely display by EPS here. Paluda and Crux, the last two alive for Kazna, and Zagorny's found one. Crux finally takes down Numocho, but I feel it's too little too late here.
Certainly is. He got Raging Potato and Cosme. Kazna Crew did a good job of trying to bring this one back, but 2 against 4 was too much to ask. They found 2, but they still have 2 to find. Raging Potato and Naz Cosme still pretty high on those HPs, and now 2 in the cap. It makes it even harder job for Crux to take this one, and Naz Cosme is on the hunt.
And I think he's going to get the victim he wanted. Crux is left on 80 HP. There is very little he can do in this situation. He's done a great job there finding Nascosme originally. Looking for maybe a second, but one shot will do the job for EPS, and they've done it. 2 maps to the good. EPS. Phenomenal performance so far. I said they might be able to do something on this map, and they've certainly found a way to do it.
They did. The big move for them was reversing of those train lines. Basically, They were looking up, trying to get the cross onto Kazna Crew, but as soon as Kazna Crew were in the position when they're going forwards with Elian and German Brait, the IS-3s reversed and they got themselves behind that house. Perfect timing for Evil Panda Squad, both on Cliff and now on Ensk. Just good timing, getting back into the right position, and then they can actually get the shots on. So all in all, I did not expect Kazna Crew to be 2-1 up, and you can kind of see where it all went bad for them. Numocho comes in. Elian should not have been retreating. He should have been the German Brait. And now you can shoot through walls. It was even worse for him. The Cosmic does finally get in, otherwise he would have lived. But that's where it was won and lost for Kazna.
And I'm just so surprised how long it took those IS-3s to even get into the game. Initially caught out, Hyber and Crux still really far away from the battle. They tried to take a pot shot there, and as Cosby moves in, looks even more dangerous than ever. And, play like this surely is worrying for Kazna now. One map, you think, okay, well, Cliff, they made a rush, it caught us out. Alright, no worries. Do it on Ensk, and that's now suddenly a bit of a game afoot. One more map, and let's be serious here, EPS have won it.
Yeah, one more map, that's all they need. And now Kazna Crew actually needs to win
Everything.
They need to win the two next maps. We're on our fourth map now, so they need to bring it back if they just want the 1 point, which would not be good for them because that leaves the door open for TCM Gaming and School Bus, who won their previous matchup. So if Kazna Crew loses, School Bus will be moving up into second, and Kazna will be moving to third, tied with, I think, 1 point more than TCM Gaming. I'm not quite sure. Maybe my math is bad.
We'll have to check that out at the end.
But all in all, looking very, very peachy for them. And they're not a one-trick pony, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's a brilliant display so far by EPS. I'm highly impressed with their play. Next map being Himmelsdorf. Your thoughts towards this one? We've seen Ensk wasn't really played out in the city area. We saw, let's say Cliff, not a city map at all. This is finally maybe the chance for Kazna. This is where they can turn this. We saw the brilliant hill strategy from them. We've seen them using various ways to get into the game on this map. Is this where finally EPS gets stopped?
This is where our EPS has to be stopped, and I think it's a good map for Kazna Crew to do it on. You've got to remember, EPS were 3-0 by Virtus Pro, and that might be the difference we're seeing between the two teams. Virtus Pro compared to Kazna Crew second, it's a real big disparity. And I think maybe this is the map where they can make that a little bit closer. Triple 5100 double eyes, 3 double tier 1 for Kazna Crew. And the same's going to come out of Evil Panda Squad with New Moksha, Lucas ESD, Naz Cosmi on those 5100s. So Evil Panda Squad, they need to be just passive on this map. I hate to say it, but if they're clever, they have to draw it out, because if they draw it out, then Kazna Crew can only get one more map. And that means they will guarantee themselves the 3 points. It's hard to draw in Himmelsdorf, but it's certainly a possibility.
We've seen a couple of teams trying it. Sadly, one of the teams got completely undone by Kazna Crew once that hill tactic came into play. The fire from those 5100s making it all the way down there. I don't think they were even aware that those shots could come through from that sort of angle, but they certainly did. Elian at the helm of that. But today, not been his day at all. Certainly looking a little weaker than usual. Maybe Kazna not expecting this sort of resistance from a team like EPS. Let's be serious here. One's in second place, one's in seventh. So, sixth and second. So, a big difference between these two. Very, very big. And the difference between first and second, as we're now seeing, is also huge. A big difference of plays between these guys. If anything was going to happen for Kazna, it has to be now. And this is a map they're great at. This is a map they've always been fairly competent at. You add in Elian, you get a great team. Whether or not we're going to see that now, I don't know, but I'm very impressed by EPS, not only by the fact that they did challenge quite nicely against Virtus Pro on this map. They did do quite well with their tactics, a little more passive when they started on the other side, but it certainly did well to a point until they got outdone just by player skill, which is nothing to be sneered at. Virtus Pro, even as individuals, all of them, phenomenal. We are just going to wait for these guys to start this out, but your final prediction, who's going to get this map?
Kazna have to. They just simply have to get it. They have no other option at this point.
You know what? I'm going to stick with EPS. I've backed them so far. I think it's the wrong choice, but I'm going to be stubborn just because then I'll be right 3 times in a row against you. And that'll be the new analysis. So there we go. That's how it works here. Big plays. WGLEU, big plays, the new hashtag.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Melly's like looking at me going, what? There's another hashtag I have to look at? Don't you do this. But still. Talking about big plays, this was the map that Elian did surprise us all on. So, as we said, if there's any map it's going to happen on, this has to be it. This is crunch time, and I think it's been a while since we've seen Kazna in this position. Last time we did, they ended up drawing out against Wusa, so maybe not a team who can quite deal with the pressure just yet. We've seen, I've said it before, that we saw a big difference between the likes of teams who can adapt and add that extra 10%. Right now, we need to see that extra 10% from Kazna Crew. They have to turn up. They have to find their comfort zone here. They have to ignore the previous games and go, okay, guys, next 2 maps, it's ours. There's no more worrying about this. There's no more, discussions in regards to how we play it. We play it like we know how to and just do the job. And I'm hoping they can bring it out here. I really do. I'm slightly worried at their performance so far. What has been their weakest point?
On Mines, they had no option. They had to draw out. Cliff, they simply just caught out by the push across.
True.
And I think they need to be taking lessons from other teams. All the teams so far from the south have been looking away from the green zone since that kind of the crossfire has been discovered.
Problem, yeah.
And they've been more in towards the city. So I think they just need to look towards the city and not so much towards the green zone. I don't think the push up there from the Elian and the 5100 German break was a good idea either.
Yeah, certainly did not work, but I believe we are now ready to get very close to finding out if Evil Panda Squad can really do the job here, as the next map is going to be Himmelsdorf. Welcome to battle number 4, 2-0 so far for Evil Panda Squad. Stunning performance from them. Kazna crew not quite making it happen yet, and speaking of Kazna crew, they will be starting off in the south in red. We are seeing these guys now backs to the wall. Can they bring out the A game? And Evil Panda Squad in the north in blue having to just do the same all over. Turn up and get the victory. What are we seeing from the start though?
More of an unusual and a very old style of play from the north on Himmelsdorf and Evil Panda Squad. They're all heading over towards the left side, the 1-2-3 line. Lucas Yisti, Zagorzni, Yankees, and Kozmi. Numol showing Raging Potato. That's because they want to play passively. They want to draw this one out because it'll guarantee them the 3 points. They have the 2 big tanks up there, ready to deal with the hill push or the push from the middle. And as Kozmi, Yankees, Zagorzni, well, Zagorzi's playing at tier 1, but at least Lucas Yisti, they all have the line of sight on each other so they can support each other if Kazna crew do push. And that's what Kazna's doing, pushing up the hill. A very standard tactic from them, and indeed for the whole league in general from on Himmelsdorf. And maybe actually Evil Panda Squad's unwillingness to go onto the hill might actually bite them because they aren't particularly in a particularly good position.
Yeah, Alien there not having the best game of the day so far. A standout player, second overall in the Hall of Fame. Looking to see what he can do maybe in this one. He was a key factor before in one of their more, let's say, tense victories. Hopefully he can do the same this time around. So far, not really showing what he's made of, and well, no surprise there, the 5100s unchallenged on the hill. And this is what we expected. How do Kazna crew break down what EPS are doing?
Well, we have to look at what EPS is really in a position to do against Kazna crew first. So what Evil Panda Squad has seen before is that a lot of teams that go onto the hill, they can't deal with a push through the middle and through that area there, and also the 1-2-3 line. They can play the longer game, but the short game doesn't go well for them. So what they're doing is basically keeping this cross off to stop the tier 1s and whatever 5100s getting into this, and this little covered area, which is really good tactic for Kazna crew. That's how they've won it many times before. And they just don't want them to do that again. That's what Kazna crew have done before. That's what they've been very successful doing, and that's pretty much the only option they have. But then again, if Kazna all charge up the 1-2-3 line, it could be successful as well, because Raging Potato and New Multi-Show would have to kind of backtrack and actually join Yankees in the Kozmi. The only one who couldn't actually support at the beginning would be Lucas Yisti, so it would be a 3-on-5. And if Kazna come at the same time from the left, that would be a very good position indeed. But so far, Kazna are not doing the right thing because they're still trying to make sure they have all the other bases covered first, and stopping any kind of surprises coming their way if Evil Panda Squad have done something unusual, which they have, but not in a position they think they do.
Yeah, now German Bray, after eyeing up the previous positions that strategy worked for them in on, not finding anything, they are backing away, leaving the tier 1 up on the hill. No real surprise there. It's what is expected of these teams by now. That'll be Cobra Leone left up on his own. German Bray, however, Elian and Veko all rolling off that hill, all pushing off and coming back down. And normally we see a banana line push off the back of this, but I'm not sure if that's really an option here. It looks like they are going to get themselves round towards it, at least probably the IS-3 leading the way. I wouldn't be too surprised. Hybrid in position, and Crux peeking round. So, options left for Kazna. Pretty much make a move out of this. There's not much else really for them to do, and is this the right place for them to make their push?
Well, they have all the options in the world right now in terms of where they want to start pushing. They can go up the 8 line, they're not going to meet anything. They can go through the middle, they're not going to meet anything. The only thing they'll meet if they go up the 1-2-3 line is Zagorzni, because Zagorzni in the tier 1, then they'll find Lucas Yisti a little bit later. So they have plenty of options. You know, as I said before, they're just making sure that they don't make any rushed decision, and they have all the other map controlled. They have a very good idea of where Evil Panda Squad are. They know they're trying to camp this one out. Evil Panda Squad, you know, it would be stupid, it would be unlogical for them to actually try and win this one or play any other tactic apart from a very campy one. And I think that's what Evil Panda Squad do these days. They see the map pool they have, and they come up with a way they can play it through. The first one was Mines. They said, no, we have a good tactic from the north, from the south, so we're going to draw that out. Okay, so we have Cliff. We saw what Denal Esports have been doing, so let's do what they did. and hope it works. It did work perfectly, and then Ensk, they basically used Kazna Crew's mistakes against them. They didn't expect to win it, but they basically dealt with what Kazna Crew threw at them, and they did it perfectly. So they actually 2-0 up for those reasons, and as I said before, they only need to draw Himmelsdorf out to actually get the 3 points they desperately need. As I said, in the middle of the table is not where you want to be in match week 6 out of 11. Obviously, we're starting to head into the later stages of the season. Still in the middle, but towards the later stages for sure. At the end of this match day, we'll be more than halfway through.
Yeah, and at the moment, I've got to say, Crux in a good position here, going for a nice little smart peek. See if you can find anything. Oh, it's 3 on its own pretty much, and the others now joined by Elian, just clinically working off where these guys may be. It's not a bad idea either. You got to be careful, because obviously walking into a completely set up team never gonna help you here. As Veko taking his time, every single component needs to be in place. Right now, Raging Potato does actually get spotted out there. I think that's probably from Crux, I can imagine. First shell does come through, so they might start working out where the opponents are.
Yeah, they know where they are now. They know they're all up in the 1 to 4 line, the 5 line. And Evil Panda Squad are all looking towards where Crux tank is, which is a little bit of a mistake because he's not the only one there. But if German Break goes into the middle, which he doesn't, he'll be dealing with New Motor Show and Raging Potato, who's just getting the cross off. So the best plan for Kazna Crew would be coming from where from Lucas Yisti is in Zagorzi, basically around the back. Yankees and as Cosmi, Raging Potato, New Motor will all have to turn their turrets. They're tanks indeed if they are those two over there, and that would be the best location for Kazna. But we still have got 3 minutes and 4 seconds left on this clock, and still plenty of time for Kazna Crew to take this one because of Evil Panda Squad's unwillingness to spread their tier 1s around, so they don't have to worry about that. They can just go for the engagement and win out in terms of damage.
Well, at the moment, Kazna are starting to line up and get ready for this. Elian, German Prey, Veko and Hyber all waiting to make their move. Now joined by Crux. I think it's near on go time. The tier 1s have headed around the other way. The IS3s will be heading this charge up. This could go very right or very wrong. Someone has to take down Zagorni. It's the first chip away. It looks like Crux will be trying to make that shot, and he lands it. Good play to start off with. But will they expect the other players in position? Let's bear in mind, we still have Lucas here playing a very smart role. No one's actually got their turrets turned that way. This could go very, very wrong, as Yankees now realizing where these guys are, playing it smart though. Hyber and Crux yet to really be able to make much of a shot out of this, and at the moment there's not much work coming out from Kazna Crew here.
I have to make sure they engage properly. Lucas Yisti also mustn't go in too early. If he does, Evil Panda Squad will be in trouble because he'll go down very quickly. Yankees, though, receives the first shell.
Yeah, a little bit of damage caused. There's the reply, though. Takes 2, gives 1. Elian, however, doing what Elian does best. Going alone and getting the job done. If he comes around here at the right time, he could cause a hell of a lot of trouble as the others line up and wait. Elian splitting off. Naz Cosmi finds a tier 1. But now look at this, Raging Potato went on a peak, and I think that's going to force the move out here. Elian is backing away, he's got to be careful. Veko is, however, with him. Hyber and Crux yet to be able to push in. You can see Lucas coming around on the other side. These guys are laying down the fire as best they can. Veko and Elian backing each other up. Hyber is down to nothing, but Veko's taking down Raging Potato. There's the reply, though. Lucas finds Hyber, and there's the counter push beginning. EPS making their move towards the 3 players out on their own, and Kazna Crew are falling like flies. Lucas played his role, but now Crux in a world of trouble, surrounded, being beaten black and blue by Yankees and Numod Show. Numod Show may fall, but I don't think it matters right now. Even the cap being started out, it's going to be a bit of an ask here, as Crux still battling through. EPS not won this just yet. They're going to have to claim these kills and fast. Yankees up against Crux. 1v1. Whoever gets that reload up first, or the backup in the right place. Oh, the shell not coming through. Come on, guys. There we go. Yankees claims it. And now we have pretty much a 2v2. Veko and Elian up against Lucas and Yankees.
They have to try and go for the cap, I think. That's going to bring it down. Oh, no, it's not. It's still 2 in there. 2 in there, actually. You still need 3 to find, though. Veko and Yankees both have the reload, but Palauda and Lucas Yisti still trying to do something against Kazna.
Well, here we go. Vecco's taking a couple. Yankees takes down Palauda. Vecco goes. Lucas comes through. And this looks like EPS could do this. One man now stands all on his own. Elian, 2 seconds left. It's too little, too late for EPS. They could not find him in time. And can you believe it? Kazna crew just get away with a whisker.
And they get away, well, with only Elian, but it's not
enough.
It's no consolidation. It's still a 2-0 for Evil Panda Squad and still a win for them. Unbelievably, even close to a 3-0 against them. And that kind of highlights the thing. Evil Panda Squad were in defensive positions. Kazna Crew did a good push. I don't think they could have done much better, but when Evil Panda Squad are there, with Lucas Istian behind, he didn't deploy too early on. It was just impossible for Kazna to win it. Very, very hard. At least they might have been able to get a sneaky cap away. I don't think they could have done it, though. And that would be unbelievable for Kazna, for Evil Panda Squad to actually win this one. 2.1k coming out for Lucas Yisti, the guy sitting behind.
Brilliant.
Because he could just turn and get a free 6 shells against the side of Kazna Crew. Although Vecco does a good job there, 1.9k. No comeuppance for that loss.
No, I've got to say the players that I pointed out at the start, didn't expect to see Lucas doing that well in the final map, but I think the positioning and his work certainly paid off. Yankees as well. What did he do towards the end of that one, actually?
I think it was Yankees did 1.7k and he actually won against Crooks. But let's have a quick look back at what happened in that game. Basically, the push came in, so Hyber takes a lot of damage. This was good that Raging Mutator went down first, but then Lucas Yisti deploys around the side, and he moves on to German Break and Hyber first. Hyber goes down, German Break falls lower, than when you show Yankees push around, he can just be a one-shot because he is a little bit he's too far away from the cover on the left, and then that was pretty much won and lost, and the guys in the middle also struggled. Crooks was left on his own because German Break went down early.
Yeah, and EPS just... I'm so surprised, don't get me wrong. A lot of their victories came down to the map choice and the way they played out those maps. But it worked. You know, you gotta give them credit where it's due. It may not be the most beautiful of victories we saw at times, but it paid off. They knew their opponents, they knew how they played on specific maps, they knew that maybe Kazna did not like playing Cliff aggressively. We have a shot here. And they took it. You know, we constantly tell teams to go for the aggressive moves, go for the more... let's say challenging plays sometimes. Don't play that passive game of tanks the whole way through because it will backfire, and we've seen that truly in place today. So congratulations to Evil Panda Squad picking up the victory there. Very impressive stuff. Certainly
could be indicative of what they can do a little bit later in the season as well. They've been a little bit up and down so far. Hopefully a bit like who was it, School Bus. Yeah. They can get those results in which they need, but we'll be moving on to our final map, 5th map, Steps. One which Evil Panda Squad have been struggling on, but so is Kazna, so I wouldn't expect this one to be particularly one-sided. Yep. And it's one of those maps which you can also just draw out if you really want to. I don't see any reason why Evil Panda Squad would do it. These guys get money for every win, so Kazna still wouldn't want those ones. Still want a little bit of cash in the hand. They've lost the game. Sitting in second, I wouldn't worry too much, but it's still nice.
Yeah, I think we are just going to get the tanks in, and let's bear in mind, it does not change the overall outcome. Evil Panda Squad have still won this, but for the sake of this being played out and the sake of the draws and the wins coming into effect, we'll be playing the final map just to see what happens there, and obviously to see who gets that, maybe the cash prize at the end of it, or the slight bonus towards playing for the victories. So, we are going to have to wait and see. Steps, so as you said, it could be played out passively by EPS now. They don't have any incentive to go for the victories here, they just have to play carefully. Is that what we're going to see?
I'm not sure. Evil Panda Squad can throw the game if they want to. They don't have to worry. Obviously, they want to be getting as clean a slate as possible because at the end of the season, when you look at the difference between the wins and losses between the various teams, if more than one team is on the same amount of points and we're having to decide which one goes to the offline finals, then we start to look at that, and that makes the difference in the end. It's the map pool. They have, when you're a team, we count up all the maps. So Evil Panda Squad will still be wanting to win this one as a 3-0.
Yeah, I'm sure they would do. And it does look good to say you beat Kazna 3-0. Not exactly the worst thing in the world, even just for ego's sake alone. So, excuse me. Steps. I've not been overly overwhelmed by anyone adapting the strats and the way they play them at the moment. It's been fairly normal. There's only so many variations you can have in an open map to an extent. You know, there's only so much cover that's viable and so many routes that are viable. But there's not been a massive change in gameplay. No one's put out a brand new strategy, apart from that small stack, I believe, that caught out. It was Butcher who came around the corner at the wrong time, had those 2 to 3 tanks staring him down. Now, that was interesting, but it's not something you can do 3 games in a row. It will be worked out and it will be undone. Is there any new variations that have caught your eye, or are we still playing the same steps?
We're pretty much playing the same steps as we've seen really at the beginning of the season. You know, this map was introduced, I think, in 2012. It was put into the Eurosteel map pool and also the Russian map pool in general, and we really adopted it. We don't see that much variation. It's very big, it's very open. There has been a few changes since it was first introduced, so it's a little bit more balanced from the south at least. But both teams are ready. We can run over the lineups quickly before we get into our last map. The Triple AMX 3090 Pershing T69 Double Tier 1 for an aggressive lineup for Kazna. And predictably, Evil Panda squad going for something a lot heavier, quadruple T32 T69.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt, and we're gonna find out how much as the next map coming up is gonna be Steps. Will end that and see who will walk away with a victory. In the north, in blue, it will be Evil Panda squad, and they won't be walking away with any other victor. It will be EPS winning it. But it's to see in the end scoreline because of those draws and the tied points towards the end of the season. In the south, in red, however, it will be Kazna crew. So what are we seeing from the start? So
they're heading towards the trench as predicted. We've got about, what is it? Like 5k HP or something for Evil Panda squad, and Kazna crew probably don't even have that in burst. So yeah, we got a lot more than 5k, got like 6 or 6.5k. So yeah, I don't think Kazna's going to have much of a chance. They do push into Evil Panda squad. The only one they do have is if they can dart in and out and get some early damage onto them, or just kind of nick away at their HP slowly but surely. That's the only thing they have. Kazna done the predictable thing, going pretty aggressive in towards the trench and looking for some early damage, as I said. That's what they need.
Well, at the moment, not found anything, but they are just kind of sweeping across the map, making sure there's no surprises waiting on the northwest side. Elian clearing the rocky side of this one. And that 3090 probably head down behind the railroad and then push his way up and try and get some shots across. It's no surprise where EPS will be, but you still do have to make sure, just in case there's a little bit of a cheesy play coming out. But Elian could get in a nice little spot here and wait for the rest of his side to make the move up as well. Hyber looks as though he's one of the first to start rolling out there in his 1390, looking for maybe the slightly lower side of the trenches area. But who's got the advantage here? Surely it's always going to be EPS in this one.
Was there Elian spotted then? Is Elian spotted?
I'm not sure. I know they spotted Lucas.
Yeah, it's strange because the whole of Evil Panda squad, as soon as Elian got in that position, just turned their turrets and aimed straight to where Elian was. I wasn't sure if he was spotted or how Evil Panda squad knew he was there, but they are shooting, trying to make the shots out. I think it's because they got lit up and their sixth sense was telling them basically, look, there's a tank there, and maybe we have to try and get in the right position to deal with it. But Elian's going to be flanking around. He's distracted so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks from Evil Panda squad. And he will take down that 1T1 and takes a lot of damage for it, down to 445. And he's going to have to retreat back out.
Yeah, getting away by the skin of his teeth, really. Down to 445, as you eventually said. And now we will be seeing the rest of EPS peering up. Veko actually shows himself, lines up a nice little shot there. He could get one off, possibly. Just fluffing that a little onto Raging Potato. But still, I feel for Kazna crew, it looks as though they're just running into a bit of a brick wall here of tanks, and it's going to be hard to get any sort of damage on them, surely.
It's going to be very hard. It's not hard to get damage on them, it's just hard to get significant damage, basically, because Elian's out of position. Crux has hit the one on the side. And Numaisho is looking like he wants to be aggressive, which is not the Numaisho I like to see. Yankees comes from the side as well, supports him. and might be the inklings of the first move from Evil Panda Squad.
Smart play from Hyber, but not smart enough. He comes around the backside, gets one shell, but he gets immediately met by two. So those 1390s taking a bit of a beating. And this was pretty much the option I was waiting to see. That cap beginning, but fire coming in left, right, and center. Paluda trying to stay on the move, trying to avoid the fire that inevitably will be coming through from the opposition. And we do see McIntosh coming around looking for these shots, and he's going to land it on one there. That's one tier 1 down, but we need to see the rest of Kazna actually helping to keep these guys where they are. Otherwise, well, the rest of Kazna's kind of screwed.
Well, German Bray is going to be slowly doing that. Yankees has got his ass to him, so you'll have to be careful because there's a lot of damage. Raging Potato, though, does a good job. And German Break gets collapsed on by New Mocho.
Yeah, this was the downside of him pushing through nicely. He now is in trouble. A lot of HP has just been chipped away. German Break down to 304. Left as pretty much a ghost of his former self. He can't do much there, and now being that low. And looking at the health overall for EPS, they lost Polsved, but they didn't lose much else. It's been a bit of a one-sided battle so far, and I just don't see this going any way in the favor until right then of Kazna crew, at least, as we do see Yankees picking up another kill, and Crux now could be in trouble. New Mocho's on the prowl there. You can see him eyeing this one up, knowing that Crux is fairly alone. Veko is joining him though, and Crux and Veko are pretty much the healthier two, but Veko takes one, takes two. Crux needs to help his teammate out here. New Mocho taking these cheeky shots, knowing that he's got backup, knowing that T69 will have to show himself, and oh, Crux misses the shot, finally lands it, but look at that, that's going to be in exchange for a death, and that's not good enough in this situation, leaving Veko, Elian, and Hyber alive. Kazna surely know this is over.
3 versus 5, pretty much game over. 3 versus 4, but 5 if you include Zagorzni into the equation. And it is a game over. They tried their very best. I think it was a valiant effort. But against 40-32s, if you attack that, you're pretty much doomed and you know it. But Kazna crew had no other options. They might as well go for it. The thing I want to have a look back at is when Elian got spotted, or if he somehow got into that position, because all the T-32s were in the right place to deal with him. Lucas Easty does take a lot of damage as Veko just managed to only take 125 for 500. It's a good exchange if it was only 4 minutes, 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah, Veko backing away. I don't think this is going to go any better for Kaz now. 4 minutes to avoid the other lineup, who are quite heavy, to be fair. They don't really have the speed to catch these guys out, but I don't see much point in Kazna trying to draw this one through. It might deny a little bit of money for EPS, but it certainly will not change the outcome in any sort of variety. And it's what you get for not playing the maps correctly, not playing them in the order that maybe could have given you a victory in the end. And Hyber just trying to play it smart, trying to stay away, but as I said, there's not much point to it really, and it's a matter of time.
3 minutes and 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Hyber just scampering around. I would say they are going to go for the draw because they're denying Evil Panda Squad money and they're denying them a 3-0 victory. And as I said before, it becomes about the map pool a little bit later in the season if they do go 1 versus 1. But Yankees is going to go for the cap, and Veko's on the side. He can find himself in trouble, but neither of the T-32s could actually find an angle onto him, so he will get away with that one a little bit. But still, this cap is going to be hard to deal with. Might actually be a 3-0 in the end, but Yankees decides to go forwards, although just stops right at the edge of the cap. And that's really the only option for Kazna crew. Just come out, surprise them, try and make a couple of shots, reset, and go back. Although Yankees does get taken down, does take down Veko there, but also gets reset.
Yeah, not exactly the player I'd want to challenge. Yankees has been absolutely on point. Hyber, however, fancying his chances, but you can see how close these shells are getting. Not far at all now. And 27 seconds on that cap. Elian also feeling the brunt of it as McIntosh coming around, landing these shots himself as he played that back line. And this game is just looking worse and worse for Kazna. I've got to say it. 13 seconds left on the cap. Hyber has to go in and try and reset this one with a couple of seconds remaining. 30-90 more than capable, but he's got to land these shots and he's got to avoid them coming back in from especially Man Yankees. 0 seconds left. It has been captured and Kazna could do nothing about it. EPS pick up another map just to add insult to injury and make it a 3-0.
Yep, 3-0 for Evil Panda Squad. Not a result I expected. Kazna crew in second place, being beaten by the 6th place team, the Polish team. Really surprising, but I think they definitely deserved that win. Evil Panda Squad were just the better team. Kazna crew tried to play the standard tactics, and Evil Panda Squad says, "Screw your standard tactics. We're going to rush in on Cliff. We're going to catch you out on Ensk," which I don't. That's where it was basically lost for Kazna crew.
Yeah, the one map that
they should have won Ensk. They had to win Ensk because then on Himmelsdorf, basically Evil Panda Squad just camp, and then we saw what Evil Panda Squad did on Mines. I mean, I must admit, I don't like the way Evil Panda Squad plays when they are up. I mean, it's logical that they win, but obviously we want to see, and you guys want to see, some fast and great tanks, and picking 40-32s on steps is not great, and doing the same on Himmelsdorf, it's kind of like, you know, come on guys, let's see some good battles. But definitely still respect for the win, being a very good team, and I think might be the beginnings for them a little bit more, and look like a strong team going in towards the end of the season.
Oh yeah, certainly a brilliant result overall for EPS. You know, the route there is important, but they did pick up the win in the end. And I think sometimes when you're playing against an opponent like Kazna, who overall I'd say are the better side, you have to find your ways of doing it. And whether that be making a rush on a map, you know, they play passively on, that's where you do it. And maybe you've got to say to Kazna, and you've got to work on your map pool overall. You can't depend on, you know, your strong maps. You've got to have Cliff now in there. You've got to have an answer on Mines to this, you know. And don't get me wrong, it's a horrible thing for them to have to do, you know, go back to the drawing board, work these maps out all over again. But if you want to be on the par with the likes of Virtus Pro and play within that top 3 consistently, they've got to have to get to the level that Virtus Pro can do it at. Because, you know, we've seen Virtus Pro countlessly having to be the aggressive team and yet still picking up the victories, having to deal with teams doing stuff like this against them because it's the only way they can win. And there's a reason Virtus Pro have not dropped a map so far. They have everything absolutely on lock. Perfectly done. So congratulations nevertheless in the end to Evil Panda Squad, even if he doesn't like it, you know, well done. Kazna crew yet to really make a mark today, but you know, they'll have another chance to prove themselves, and EPS winning this 3-0 so far, all 3-0s pretty much to this point. And we do have a final game coming up of Lucky Karaki up against Wusa. Both teams really struggling to make their impact, but before we get to that, I don't know how the team, you know, people at home predicted that game, because I may have supported Evil Panda Squad, but I didn't expect them to win overall, and I think we can all agree that. But did you guys at home get it right? Melly?
No.
An easy answer.
Simple question, simple answer. No, I seriously, I was sitting here and trying to figure out if they're playing with substitutes or something like that, because that's not the Kazna crew we know. I don't know what happened, and that was pretty much the voice of the community. They expected different, and they were let down hard. And Kazna crew was favored with 76%.
Wow.
So that's a statement, and Kazna crew couldn't par up to that, which is really sad. And if we have a look on the actual predictions of the community, it's pretty much everything. Just
it's all Kazna.
Yes. Well.
Oh no, there was. I saw
right?
an EPS. I saw an EPS 2-0,
and then it changed.
And then they were like, "Hold on,
yes,
hold on.
Something is clearly wrong today."
Actually, look, the one at the very start, at the very top, Luca there, I think, actually predicted like a 2-1 there to EPS. So
19 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, all right, he's cheating.
No, not really, because they're still having the last map open.
But
we're
still,
Time Lords.
He didn't have faith.
No, nobody had. Well, 76%. Were ouch. I know, I'm sometimes a bit mean, I'm so sorry, but yes, and the voice on Twitter is pretty much the same. So people were like, what is happening, bring in some arty to shoot down those T-32s on mines and stuff like that. And people at home expected different. So if you have anything else to say about that matchup, just head over to Twitter and use the hashtag WGLEU to make sure that we can actually see your tweet. And of course, if you have any questions to our lovely experts right next to me.
Stop using plural, I get added into things that I'm not meant to be towards.
Just tweet us and I will ask them live on air. And maybe we will have some nice questions and get some nice answers. So get involved, follow us on Facebook as well, and of course follow our Twitch channel to get notified as soon as we're going live. You will get a notification via email and a little pop-up on the Twitch TV page as soon as you follow our channel, and you won't miss any single minute of our lovely show.
Yeah, that is indeed how you get involved. And I actually have a question for you then.
Sure.
The option of Arty. You know, we've got blind picks. Is it worth the risk of a team outpicking you for the fact that you might be able to take down a passive team with Artie?
I think against Evil Panda Squad, where
this is commonplace now.
It was pretty obvious. I think everyone knew Evil Panda Squad were going to pick the lineup they picked.
Yeah.
It's a gamble for Kazna Crew, but it's hard when you're playing a game like World of Tanks or any other game in esports or in sports in general, to make those gambles. It's not like you're playing poker where gambling is the whole point. You're trying to make the most informed decision. At the end of the day, you're doing the same in poker, but you don't have so much luck involved. You have the choices of what actual cards you have in your hand, and that's really where Kazna Crew really have struggles with. I think Artillery would have broken that camp on the T-32s for sure. I mean, I would have loved to be in that Artillery player because I would have hit 5k damage then. But then again, it's so hard to make that call, and maybe Kazna Crew, having seen this replay, they'll go over through the matches and maybe pick that in the future.
Well, something to keep your eyes towards, guys at home. Maybe that was your questions out there, but hopefully he's answered it to an extent. And I'd love to see that coming back into play. I really would like to see that, but we'll have to wait and see if that does become an option, especially against Evil Panda Squad. We'll keep our eyes on the next time they play Mines and make sure we tell you all to make sure you get over here in case we do see some of that RT peering back up. But anyway, that game aside, we still have one more today. And it's a hard one to title because Wusa have not impressed me, whereas Lucky Karaki have. They're one of the new additions to this season, who looked very shaky at the start. Their execution wasn't flawless, but they were winning games, and they were winning against good teams. The question that I always wanted to see from them was, sometimes when you're aiming at the very top, so the likes of your Verse Pros, School Buses, TCMs, Kaznas, you know how to anti-strat them. Sometimes you underestimate the middle to the lower side, and you start slipping in those results. For me, this matchup between Lucky Karaki and Wusa is about, can Lucky Karaki replicate their genius against the top teams, against some of the slightly weaker ones? Because you don't have that same prestige coming into it with the preparation. You don't go, do you know what? When I get home, I'm going to go through every single demo and VOD of Wusa playing. It's not quite as nice as going, do you know what? I'm going to work out Verse Pro. This is going to be a bit of an interesting matchup for me. Where are your predictions on this one?
On paper, Lucky Karaki should win it. They've been doing well, as you said, against the stronger teams, and they've been doing okay overall. Wusa are right at the bottom of that table right now. So one draw, all the rest are losses. It has to go through, you've played 5 or 6 games by this time.
Yeah.
On paper, goes through to Lucky Karaki. Hopefully, though, like C-Play, Wusa have picked their game up and might actually start winning here.
Well, we can only wait and find out. So, guys, we're going to go to a very short break, and when we're back, we'll be finding out all the answers to the questions we just posed. So don't go too far away. We'll be back in a bit.